That's his girlfriend. Yeah, I know. They're inseparable. When they're together, it's amazing. It's hilarious. All right. Hello.
Hey, Christoph.
Hi, Irina. How are you?
I'm speaking from the screen.
Text for anyone. If you have any questions, just send me a text later, and we can meet offline. So what I've done is over the years, well, over the pandemic years, I ended up teaching at Merced, and at Merced they're really rigorous about poker stuff, and then I learned a lot about that, and pokered my class, which was a lot of work, but was good work because a lot of these poker guidelines are really here to, to make the class more user-friendly and think of things that we don't necessarily think of when we make a class, because it's from the student's perspective. It's not from our perspective. So it's a different viewpoint. For example, we want to deliver material in multiple different formats, not just like one, here's the textbook kind of thing, read this page to this page. Make videos, make bullet point formats, bring in pictures and stuff like that, because we want to address all different intelligences in the people. And also the same is true for the students to be able to upload the different formats. Like in Canvas, they can easily make a video at this point. Or audio, that's no big deal, especially in the app, because the phone app that the Canvas has is really, really good. I really like it personally. So I've done that part with poker, and then I ended up doing a poker course where I became a reviewer. It was a lot of work, and it was good work. So and then we did a survey. Then I became the co-chair of the DE, and we did a survey Peralta-wide, and it turned out that our classes are a little rudimentary. There was a lot of negative student feedback, but I was lucky. Mine was positive, and I figured, well, I got to do something about that. So at least I gotta help where I can, because we might not have the same rigor at Peralta that Merced, or the focus. It's really about a focus. Ultimately, we're all here to help each other. So I put this Canvas Tips things together, this brochure. You got it on an online version, which is looking like that. If you click here with your finger, it goes on the phone or wherever you want. It goes to a YouTube video. And if you have the paper brochure, you have the QR code. You can upload the online, and you can YouTube too. And I QR coded all the videos. So I created videos that go with this. And so hopefully it's an easy access format that you guys can, you don't have to, but maybe you pull something from that can help the class. And of course, my class looks very pink and blue, and I show you how to change the color, so don't worry about that. I just like it that way. And the students like it. There's something to be said about color, right? It makes it enticing a little bit. So what I've done first is I've created templates that I put on Commons that you can download onto your module if you want, or onto your course if you want, and then go in there and modulate things if you want. And so that way, it's a lot of things in the syllabus are things that is always the same stuff for every class, and so we can just copy some of that stuff. And if you don't know how to do the downloading, if you go to your Canvas, this is, I don't know which one it is, but you go to Commons, and then you put my name in there, and spell my name is M-U-H-L-A-N-G, and it says it all in the brochure too, and then you go and download these courses onto yours, and then from there, import the course then import that into your course, and then from within there you can move stuff around in your course. And so that way you have a starting point if you like that, because it was a lot of work to start building it, and so I figured if I give a template, some things you can take and just modify and make it easy that way. And then I want to go to the end of the brochure. Actually, let me go there, because what I've done then, I went through all the rubrics of poker. POCRS is Peer Online Course Review. That's what it stands for. It's kind of a nice little acronym. So we're all poker players. But these are rubrics that help us make the course better, or help us look for certain things especially when we review a course, if it's good enough for an online setting for California community colleges or not. We go through all of these steps and say, are these all covered? Are these all satisfied? And so I made a list of all of them. It's on 2 pages at the end. I ain't going to go through all those, because at the end of it, this is not that important. This is more reference material if you really are interested in that. Because what I did inside the course, if we, for example, look at the home page, I put in where the rubrics, what rubric this stands to. And this is a document that's always a draft. There's always more to it. But at this point, at least, I put that in. So this will refer to rubric A4. If you want to go look what rubric A4 is, then you can rack reference. And I didn't just write the rubric down how it is in the textbook. I wrote it down how sort of in regular language that makes more sense to me. And I figured over the years, I figured generally also that makes more sense to you guys or to other people. Yeah, and here are actually these rubrics that I just sort of put up as what they really are. The rubric A is sort of the presentation of the content. How do I present my material? How are having my objectives? Do people know what we're actually talking about in this class? You know, am I using all the tools in Canvas? Or am I using the homepage? Am I using quizzes? Am I using things? So that's the stuff that's covered in that rubric. And then also support and feedback. Am I giving the students good instructions, or am I just telling they don't know what to do? You know, I'm looking, as a reviewer, I'd be looking for that kind of stuff. And then rubric B is the communication. So we're looking at how do we talk to the students, how the students have conversations that in a classroom we just have it, but in a online platform we got to think about that. Think about Padlet, think about discussion stuff and so forth. And then rubric C is the assessments rubric, how we do the activity assessments and then giving guidance and feedback there. That's sort of a little bit with that together as well. So that's sort of an overview of what these rubrics cover. We also have a D rubric. I didn't cover this in here. That's accessibility. That's a really extensive rubric. And a lot of it, the way I do it, is gone through that rigor of the D already. And so I figured I leave that level out. And then we also have an E rubric that Peralta is actually making. That's an equity rubric. And I've also satisfied that rubric because we did my course through that thing as well, which is really a great thing because it talks about biases and gives people more like a feeling of belonging and things like that. And so that's actually some things that are, I think, kind of useful from the templates because, for example, I have an activity in week 1 that is like plan your studies. So they actually have to go and do a graphic of like, when do I study for this class? But I can also tell them in there, I teach anatomy, you got to do like units times 2 plus the units. That's how much you should study. And I can tell them that in there, and then I don't have mid-semesters like, well, I don't know. It was a busy life right now. So it's like, at least we prepare them a little bit. So I go through some of those in a moment. The whole page is where we start. What I put here is I put the stuff that sort of elements that go into the home page as, you want to have a little picture, you want to have a little, who are you? Maybe a link to a contact information, so I write that down in here so it's an easy follow. I've done all of that. In essence, you can download this from template, go and change your picture, change your stuff here, and then, do your own video and be done with it. I put here what I put in my welcome video, who am I, hello, and I explain a little how the course fundamentally works, and then how to help to get to Canvas, which is, a big thing to start. And then I briefly explain the course on Canvas, 5 to maybe 10 minutes. Mine is usually a little too long because I'm a little chatty. But, And then below here are different links that I put. One thing that's kind of cool is I put a Zoom study link. Some students told me that to do, where they can go up online and then they can do a group study if they want. Or I can meet with them up online. And so one thing that I've learned that's really helpful for the students is a welcome letter. So at this point, I send them a PDF of a welcome letter from the OneDrive download or Dropbox download through text and through emails in multiple formats. And then they have things in here like the class, and I send it to like 2 weeks or a week before the class, maybe 1 week generally. I talk about the class a little bit, what is it, I introduce the course a little bit. I have a mission, why I teach and so forth also. But then what's important is the links. I put in links for computer lending program, free or cheap internet, basic Canvas knowledge, stuff that they get free school services like health, financial aid, or food or shelter. We don't have food or shelter, how are we going to learn, right? We're going to need that. If we don't have food or shelter, we probably don't know how to get it. And so maybe we can help them a little bit. And so I put all these links. And so I put them in the welcome letter, and I gave you that in your Canvas, in the Commons download, the template, and the links are fine. You can keep the links and modify stuff you want to modify. I think I put it as a Microsoft Word. I hope so. Otherwise, please reach out and tell me that I got to change that. And so that's the other one is you prepare the students a little bit. What's an online class? Parts of it. You got to be part of your schedule. You have to be accountable, but you don't have to commute. So that's kind of cool. So I tell them that a little bit and just get them started thinking about this stuff that they're getting into. And then offer ways that I can help and ways that I can connect. I give them my personal text. They have never overreached themselves. This semester I'm going to have 90 students. I have no problem with that. If you do, no, of course, then don't. If that's not your format, if your format is email. I do notice that the students prefer text as a group to email. And so I try to, and I do myself, so it's easy for me to do that. But it depends on what works for you as well.
So if you're doing text, you have to know their
numbers.
Cell phone number.
Well, yeah, but I get it from Passport.
Okay.
So I get it. I should have loaded that up. When I get the roster, I can get their whole addresses, email address and their physical address and their phone number. Well, of course, every time I got somebody that's like, well, that's my dad's phone number. Can you put mine in? And so then we change it. And once in a while, I'm like, I'm not in that class. It's a phone number, but
Okay.
That's one time somebody told me I should get the hell out of there and thought I was like the worst person in the world. I'm like, whoa, somebody's having a bad day. It was just a wrong text. But generally, there's no problem with that. That's like 10 years.
Canvas to send an announcement, which would go to their Peralta email.
I also put it in the announcements. Yeah. That's correct. Yeah. And then, but see, the problem is not everybody uses their Peralta email. I don't really. As a student, it's like you have a Peralta email, you got another email there, and you're 21 years old. You're not gonna. I don't expect them. I try to reach out multiple ways that I reach them at some point. All right, so that's what I do on a welcome letter, and then up here is the rubric is B1 that it sort of satisfies, which we won't have pre-course contact. That's actually one thing that they want to see. And again, when we really talk about poker, we're really talking about trying to make the class more student-friendly. Those are sort of the guidelines. So then the syllabus, sort of the rules of the course. I have this syllabus also downloaded in the templates. I introduced the course a little bit. I have some activities that go with syllabus, so that I know they're reading some of that stuff at least a little bit, and not just bypass them. And then I present my syllabus in tab format, and I actually have a way to describe the tab format. I created a way to try to make it so it's easy to copy paste in your course and use a tab format, because it's really cool to break down information. We're always trying to make everything accessible, and part of that is I'm ADD. I need to make it accessible. If it's a really long list, that's like, whoa, I'm always overwhelmed with that, right? So if I have tabs, and I can just click on it, and it goes to that tab, and it shows a little bit of text or a picture, so that's really useful, I think. Anyway, there's a few elements here that I want to cover a little bit more, and I put those here, what we cover in those. I don't have to go through all the details in this. It's all self-explanatory, I think. Some of them are necessary elements that we need to have. For example, the SLOs, and so I put a link to Curricunet. On the paper brochure, it says QR code, so you hold your phone camera over it, and then it goes to that website. On the online brochure, it's just you click on it, it goes to that website. So that's something that might be helpful. And then a lot of these things like syllabus disclaimer or certain policies are interchangeable. So use from that what you like and what not, just exchange it. And I show you again, I told you I'll show you in a minute, in a little bit of how to make the tabs. So that's the syllabus. And then when we get into a module, one of the things that is important is that we structure a module internally that is chunked, that it's not too overwhelming to see. And so I've learned, that's what they told me, is we chunk it into an introduction part, where I have a Zoom. I'm not in the classroom mostly, so I'm having a Zoom preview of the week It's not mandatory. I record it. I put the link behind here where it's recorded. And the recording goes, and so then they can just go and look at that. So I talk about, what we're going to do this week, what to watch for, what are the assignments, how much and so forth, it's stuff like that. And it gives them a place to do Q&A. It's an easy place for that. And then I attach the office hours afterwards, and depending. Or I also tell them, we do office hours, especially these days where we can go on Zoom, we can't be on the phone, we can do so much. I have flexibility with my office hours. But that's because I have a lot of flexibility to do that. After the introduction, we also have objectives in the introduction. We're going to go into more detail in a minute on that. Then we're going to have a section on learning. What is this whole thing about, really? What are we actually doing? So this, I'm going to go more into detail on that as well, the teaching part. And then afterwards, we have an apply. Some of us have a lab as well. So that kind of goes together, and those are activities to sort of, I always talk about it, marinate the material into my brain, massage it into the brain cells. It's like if I can do different activities and have them get through the material in different formats, they're going to learn more and deeper, I feel. That's sort of how I try to do this. So I have a lot of activities in an online class that are formative. The students get feedback and they can work on it and they can correct it and they can get more points about it. And so I rubric them actually into a line and not quite there yet. If they're aligned, they get all the points. If they're not quite there yet, they get none of the points. So therefore, they go do it again. If I give them 4 out of 5, they're like, I don't. So that, and so that works pretty well. And I give them the feedback. But then it's a dialogue, it's a discussion. And their points is my money. So if I want them to do something, I just put some points behind it. And then, of course, I gauge it that then I have some summative assessment where I really go have and do exams. And then those are the real exams where we summarize what we've learned and we see where they're at with that. Rubrics, we're going to go further up, and so that's the applyment section. And of course, the exams have their own tabs. They're in their own modules. And then wrap up at the end, I do a Padlet. I do a question and tips Padlet, and I show you how to do the Padlet if you don't know that yet. It's kind of cute. They go in there, I had this problem I couldn't figure out, or finally I figured out, it really made sense this way. And they talk to each other. And I actually go read those things, and it gives me feedback on the class as well. Because if everybody says well, this was really hard, I can talk about it in the next Zoom class, and I can make a little video about it and explain myself or the material better. And then at the end we say, congratulations, you've done this and this and this week. Then next week we're going to get into this next topic, so they get ready for that in their head a little bit. And we always want to give them more tools to get further learning going, both on the end of I want more and also on the end of I need more help. So if we can help with both of those. So this is a great place to, put, YouTube videos. I got to do it again. Ask the class, hey, put YouTube videos in the Padlets, and then we'll make a list, and they're all good. And I look through them and figure out which ones are good, which ones are like, But there's so many tools, and we really can tap into so much. And if we're organizing it well, we can deliver it to them that the students can actually learn. And it's about learning at the end of the day.
For your YouTube videos, is it so next semester you would have a list of all the ones that you compiled from previous semesters? Like you have this.
I was lucky. I started recording myself, about 3 years before the pandemic. But every class, like this, every class, I just put the video up and make a video. So I had plenty of videos. But I can go online and find other professors. For example, I got one on mine. I got one that's UC Berkeley, Marion Diamond. She used to have Einstein's brain in her possession. She's the queen. She draws everything on the board, and I have students or patients that knew her and, talk about her, and she was this. And so I have a video from her on there for people who want to know more, and I want to go deeper. Because I can't draw on that board. That's thank God for PowerPoint.
Christoph, on your quizzes and exams, are you using security, all this no cheating type stuff?
No.
Are you just using Canvas quiz functionality?
Yes. Okay. I take classes too, to feel how it feels. And I took a bio class to feel how bio too, this is kind of that stuff I teach. And that was honor log, and I was like, no, cool. I was anxiety ridden, and I noticed I should know this stuff, and so I'm not going to get my students through that. I just don't. I think it's a violation, personally. I think it's more important that I do open book, and I make the test that they've got to think. And then I give them good, because ultimately I want them to be able to reference the material back. You know, to me that's more important that they understand the stuff, that they can reference it back, than that they can remember that this is called the quadriceps. Because they don't even know why it's used. You know, if you don't use it, you're going to fall down. They don't even necessarily know that. If I go to the lab and say, what's that? So I'm trying, especially, it's also part of that poker. What is it? What are we really learning? What is the usefulness of what the students are learning in the real life? You know, we can't fool these students now. I mean, you know, we gotta sort of be on it like that. I feel like, you know, there's like, oh, we just all have to go through it. You know, I'm not sure. We adults haven't solved all the problems that well that they can say, look, you did it good. You know, so I feel like I feel that real life base goes a little bit into that, and so I do very extensive test reviews. So I show them how to do flashcards and stuff like that. You know. All right. So weekly objectives. That's just a little bit more detail. We say what we learn. We use Bloom's taxonomy, not technology, which means we are demonstrable and measurable verbs that we describe things. So when you learn, after you've learned this, you can do this, is kind of the motto. So it's not just a passive thing. So this describes it. This is what we want to use to describe what they're learning this week. And then we have a list of what they're doing in assignments. We say what the objective up here relates to. We say how many points and when it's due. So they have an overview. And then below that, we do a list of I think, a link to the SLOs. Ultimately, they wanted me to list it, but I don't want to list too many things all the time. I want the students to not be overwhelmed. That's important to me. When we go to the teaching, I think the thing in the teaching section is important is that we're presented in multiple different ways, and give clear step-by-step instructions of how to do it and what to do. So I put in multiple versions of my videos that I created again over the years, and as we do Zoom, just record yourself all the time, and it will work out, and you'll get material. But also text is good, obviously. Keyword bullet points I think is useful. Images depending on the topic. We want to present the material in multiple different ways to tap into multiple different intelligences in the students, especially in an online environment where we don't have that feedback like that we in the classroom that we can see each other. As it gets to the activities, I think important there, what I've learned is that we have an overview, what is the activity, what is the purpose of doing this activity, and then give good directions of the step-to-step how to do the activity. And I got activities in the templates that it's all that spelled out the way I do it. You can plug in your own words, but leave titles, change colors, do that kind of stuff if you want to use it. It was helpful for me. I mean, this is what I'm giving you is basically ultimately a template of a template. That, it's just another element that we need to always talk about is the rubrics. Make sure you have rubrics on everything. Well, I don't have rubrics on the quizzes, but the discussions and the assignments, we want the students to know what do we expect from the step, what do we want from them, and that seems to be a very important part of the element. So they're really pokering on that. And then at the end of an activity, I have always additional information, and that's part is describing, what the grading, how long do I take to grade, what is my penalty for late work. I gave them a penalty of 1% a day, up to 10%, and that puts most of them in line. And then I can give them sort of a little leeway depending on, because they get a little penalty, but it never pulls them below an A in case, and they still, it hurts me enough that they're like, ugh, they want to do it. Feedback and then clarification, that's where it isn't not that visible here, but if you need more clarification, I put my phone number there, I put the Learning Center on there, a link, for example. In the beginning of the course, I have an orientation module and a learning module. And in there, in the orientation module, I put meet the instructor, how do we talk to each other, how do I give you feedback? And then I have a thing on diversity, which is I like, and I talk in there about biases, because especially online, I feel it's very important that we see that, you know, all of us come together to learn from each other, and we don't want to bring biases. So I want to talk about them. So at least we have them on tape. I have an activity about it too. I have a section on help me improve the course. Then we do the syllabus in here, which I described. I link the syllabus from the syllabus tool in Canvas. I link it to the orientation module syllabus. That way I don't copy paste it all, because I want to try to avoid having to change things in too many places, because that gets messy, for me at least. I'm a little ADD. And then I have some, you know, tools to help maneuver Canvas, like links to the phone app, for example, or how to make videos, some guides like that. And I link that in here too as resources and tutorials. And then I have a learning module, because I'm very hard. My class is, you know, it's anatomy, so you do a lot of what's that called, what's that called, what's that called, and you gotta sort of put it in the noggin. And flashcards were great for that, so I go through the whole Leitner system, like where you test yourself, you know a card, it goes to another step that you don't test as many times. If you don't know it, you gotta redo it every day, this kind of thing. So the frequency model. Anyway, I also talked there about the learning pyramid a little bit, which is generally helpful. Learning by doing kind of stuff, that's really how we retain, not learning by sleeping. Doesn't usually work. And then a little audiovisual kinesis. I know I got to update that at some point, but it gives them a framework to think about the learning process a little bit. All right, any questions to this so far? Or you guys have a little bit more in you?
2 of them.
All right, go ahead.
Do you know, in Canvas, is there a place that you can go and look and see what sort of or how many interactions you've had with individual students?
I don't know. I keep track on Excel.
Oh, you do?
Yes, because in equity there was discussion. You got like 50 students. You got to have discussion with every 50 students.
Right.
And so they were talking about, you know, about 10%. So I want to make sure I X whoever I talk to in which discussion, so it's not all on one person. Right. You know, because I'm not like all like, oh, let me take in with the discussion. I always get the first 5 or 6, and there's always the same people doing it. So that's what I do. I don't know if there is something in Canvas. If anybody knows who is on the call, please let us know and interrupt me. Well, what this system was developed by a psychologist in the 70s from Germany, Leitner, and he says you make 5 sections or have 5 boxes, and 1 through 5. The first one, you test yourself every day. The second one, let's say you test yourself twice a week. The third one, once a week. The fourth one, once every 2 weeks. The fifth one, I don't know, before the test. That way, you change the frequency the more you remember it.
Some of these online flashcards like Quizlet and Anki will also do things like they'll throw out the ones you got right and start focusing on the ones that you have problems with.
So they do the same thing, like in a different way. This is just old school. I tell them get a shoebox or get a clip, and I like I'm old school that way. I like the writing process. It helps my brain pick up the information when I type. So in the beginning of my course, and this is equity stuff, some of that, I put introduction activities, which are some that can kind of be used by, through across the spectrum. Like an etiquette contract, I have them read through an etiquette lecture, which is in the download from Commons, and then I have them say, "What are you doing this for etiquette?" They have to type up like, "I will be blah blah blah," and I expect others to be blah blah blah, right? So at least be thinking about it. And I have a syllabus discussion, although I'm not using that. I'm using the orientation questions right now, which is a quiz format where they go and read the syllabus, and then they say, is anything on the answer? Do you have any questions? What do you expect from me as an instructor? And then the second question is, and it's in the download. Second question is, what do you expect of yourself? What are you going to do? And so they have to think a little bit, and then I give them a little comment, And actually in Excel, I have sort of a standardized comment to all my discussions, and then that's sort of the starting point, and then I add to that, so I don't always every time have to rethink every answer again, right? So I go in and copy, paste. I do have Excel, I like Excel. So that sort of over the years has been trying to minimize some of the time-consuming parts of an online teacher. I want them to update their profile, and I'm going to have them give me an introduction video, so they actually learn how to do video. Because that way, once they do it once, they go like, "Oh, that's actually kind of easy." And then they're less overwhelmed with some of the discussions, because not all of us speak English. and as I know of myself. And so making a video can be a little easier than trying to type it all out all the time. And this is not, this is anatomy. I teach anatomy, so of course it's important to communicate, but not only typing is communication. I also have them in here talk a little bit about biases that they've exposed to. And I give them an example of my own stuff, and they can, so they're thinking a little bit about it.
What's your favorite video software for them to use? Is this Padlet or is this something else?
Video software? I actually end up telling them go and get a Zoom and thing.
Well, just use Zoom.
I use Zoom because I can't, the studio don't work for me.
And then they just upload it into...
Yeah.
Oh.
And even more, I tell them to do the online, do the app. Because then you take a video like you take a selfie, and then you just attach it. And it's in the app. They already know how to do that from social media, I think, a lot of it. And then I have the thing on plan your study, because I want them, I told you before, right? I want them to think about how many hours they got to put into this whole thing this time. So it's not an afterthought, it's a before thought. And then I want them to talk about study tools. I have a video in there about Richard Robinson. I forgot his name now. He's really funny. And a British guy talks about creativity in education and and so I want them to think about that. Listen to the video and answer a few questions and just think about it, not just go with the flow. I actually have one in where I say my spotlight scientist, where they go in and they go like a minority scientist, a woman who went into doing something, a minority person who did something, like I put in Einstein's first wife from Zurich, because I'm from Zurich. And she never got any honor for anything, and she did a whole bunch of stuff for him. And so then I want them to think about a person that did something in a field that they might want to go to. It could be business if you teach business. It could be literature if you do. It depends on what you teach, but it makes them think about they can actually do something. And so I got that from somebody at Laney. I forgot. And so I thought that was really great. That person did it with entrepreneurs. And so look through that. I also like images. I teach a visual medium. So I teach them how to go to Google, go to images, download an image, put it in a Word document, and make their own atlas. That's not a copyright problem. They're using it for themselves. That's what Google's for. So I want them to use this stuff. All right, so those are the activities that I do sort of in the beginning of the first couple of weeks, more or less. Then what I did is I put a few Canvas skills up that I thought were really helpful or necessary, like headers. But the first one I started with is making tabs. So I got a video on that. All right, 3 minutes or something. These videos are short. But I have a how to do it explanation that you can go and create tabs and you can change the color. I show you how to change the color because not everybody likes pink like I do. And you can change the tabs and make what you want to make, and I tell you how to write this in and then how to write the text in each section. So this is all explained like that. You have to go into a little HTML, but I make it so it's like I tell you from which line to copy and the template, and then copy it over, and I try to make it so it's as user-friendly as possible because I think tabs are really cool. I think they're really cool. Then another thing is add images. And so because images are cool to visualize stuff. And so I wanted to just show you step by step of how to upload the image onto Canvas, and then you import the image, and then you put an alt text to the image, which is just all stuff that I did wrong when they taught me. And I had to go back and redo everything, and it was just like, really? And same with headers. Easy peasy stuff. Really, once you know it, it's easy to do. It's at least it's written down. Headers are cool. You want to structure your material. It's very important. Again, a little video on it, 2-3 minute long. Same with making lists and making tables. That's something that's challenging because you got to do it right so the screen reader reads it right. Because we got people who need a screen reader. And I had 2 deaf people last semester. They did a presentation with interpreters and everything. I can give you a video. It's fantastic. It was really cool. They need to be able to access this stuff. Anyway, accessibility checkers. This is something where I go in and look at each page and say, like, there's 2 of them, the Pope Tech and a little man. I describe how to do it. But this checks, for example, color contrast particularly. Like you choose a color and the contrast is not quite right for the color, people with contrast problems reading. And so it checks for that, and you can correct that easily in there. In each page, it just has a thing at the bottom where you can, I didn't make. Another thing that's really cool is Canva, the banners, making banners. That's all that like pinky stuff that I have. It's like it separates things in making banners. You can put your picture in and make the homepage banner in there. And I show you how to do it. Have a link to Canva on the paper brochures. It has a QR code goes to Canva, and I show you how to do like the header things, for example. You know, to make a bar. Like I use that level of the design. Which design you choose a little bit. Play around with it, because once you know the beginning stuff. And then it becomes kind of fun to design things a little bit. I just designed my own new website for my business on Wix, man. If you need a website, talk to me. This is so easy. It was like drag and drop. It was so much fun to do it. And then I show it to people. They're like, wow, that looks so professional. I'm like, the biggest thing is not be afraid of it. Just do it. Padlets, huh?
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
You just got to do it.
You gotta keep trying. If that doesn't work, you try.
Yeah. Exactly, and that's why I feel like when I was at the distance education, we were, you know, it feels like we need a little grassroots on this stuff. It's like we need to help each other. When that survey came out from Peralta, the classes don't look that a little too rudimentary, I guess. In general, I feel like okay, well, let's help each other. And so if you guys have questions, just shoot me a text. That's how we learn it. It doesn't have to be a whole class, and then you have to. You know, one of the things I feel like as a teacher we have to do is pre-digest the material of the textbook, right? That's part of the job. Anyway, Padlets is another great thing, like post-it looking walls that have background colors and they can upload things. It's a great visual medium that I use at the end of my class, and you can do it here like that. It's explained how to embed it, and I have a couple in the downloads already in the templates if you want to look at how it looks embedded. And then another thing that's important is captioning videos. And there's many ways of doing captioning videos, and this is for certain not the best way, but it is a way that I've learned, and it has a link to a website that you can put your link up for the video, and it brings downloads an SRT file that then in Studio you can attach and add the caption to the video, which I explain in here, and then you're all free to go, and your course is what we call accessible in that respect. But this gives you a way to go. I upload my stuff on the YouTube because that's an easy platform, and I can organize playlists and stuff like that. And then I could take my YouTube file, put it in here, paste it in here, and it downloads me, and it might take a day or so, depending. If I do a Zoom video, I download an SRT, and then I go to Studio and upload the video first, and then I'll add the caption to the video in Studio. And then from Studio, I bring the video into the page. I know. Complicated. But if we do it once the right way, and here you have just like you can go look it up, then you never have to worry about that you're not doing it right for if you ever want to think. You know why poker is really cool? Because if you poker your class, you can offer it from, somebody can take it from any community college in the state through your school. That's really what's cool about poker. So I can offer my class, if it is offered as an online anatomy class, through the whole state, through a school. Which I think is good for the school, it's good for the students, and it keeps us on our toes because students can take them from all over the place. Oh my Lord! So we gotta be, act up and be good at it. I feel keep our faculties up that way. Anyway, so that's this part, a little annoying, but we have to do it. Oh, and that's it. Look at that. And then here are the rubrics. So with that, I think I'm good. What I wanted to say or present, at least as a starting point. And do you have any questions? Anybody, any questions? Anybody online questions? Hello? You feel like that might be useful, this thing that we did?
It's brilliant. I really loved it.
Okay. Okay, so hopefully it's helpful. All right, anyway.
Chris, that was amazing.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Amazing. It's like the best I've seen so far.
Oh!
And I teach in multiple schools, so I've seen a lot.
Nice.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I really do. All right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
And you also.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Take care. Thank you.